Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Chapter 26. This is the moment. Blue Dragon High School, Principal's office. I could only hear the thumping sound around me, and several giant links kept crashing against the glass window in front of them. Principal Wong, the principal in the principal's room, looked at these increasingly bloodthirsty giant bobcats, and his brows wrinkled slightly. You know, since the revival of Reiki, there have been more and more giant links like the one in front of you, and their strength has become stronger and stronger. A week ago, the giant lynx was only half a human size and the strength level was only D, but a week later, they all reached C level. Some giant king bobcats have even reached an amazing B level. You know, once the level of the demon beast reaches the B level, it is equivalent to the level of 100 C level demon beasts, which is enough to destroy half a city in half a day. Request the support of the guards of the shelter. Yes, Qinglong High School. At least 100 C-level mixed element links. Yes, our teachers and students have just logged into the Hokage world. Principal Wong looked at the giant lynx that was still crashing outside the window, and quickly called the support of the shelter guards. As the principal, he knows too well that once the guards arrive at 1 o'clock in the evening, there will be no more dead students in Qinglong High School, and that is the country's future expectations. Although I don't know why the demon beasts have evolved a lot faster, they obviously can't think about it so much now. Carefully installing the many detonation charms collected from the Hokage world, Principal Wong was about to open the door and lead the teachers of the class to kill a bloody path. After all, students are the hope of this country, and the lives of these old bones are not enough. Suddenly, several teachers behind Principal Wong, who were also fully armed, suddenly pointed their fingers out the window. Principal Wong, look quickly. Quote. Well, Principal Wong was stunned, looked quickly along the fingers of the teachers, and then noticed in horror that before a class, a young teenager had his hands quickly sealed. With the spit of a huge fireball, several giant links in front of him turned into char in an instant. Especially this young man's eyes are even more shining with a soul-stirring light. Just looking at it from afar, it is creepy. So, that's a B-grade ninjutsu. How fireball technique. But that kid's fireball technique is clearly several times bigger. What is the situation? Look, this kid, the printing speed is so fast, even I can see it. Several teachers scrambled to say, their eyes full of shock. And Principal Wong was even more surprised. He couldn't imagine that Qinglong High School had given birth to such a character. Just by looking at the size of that huge fireball, you can tell that this person is absolutely extraordinary. What's that student's name? Principal Wong hurriedly asked. I don't know, I don't seem to have any impression. Several other teachers quickly shook their heads. And soon, in the stunned eyes of all the teachers, I saw that the young man's hands were quickly sealed, and in an instant, he turned into several teenagers. Multi-shadow avatar technique. Multi-shadow doppelganger technique. Isn't this forbidden? Countless teachers opened their mouths in shock, and some teachers even directly froze in place. For some ninjutsu information, they also have the most information, but the more so, the more they understand that forbidden arts like multiple shadow doppelgangers are simply not accessible to anyone, let alone cultivate. Such a genius, actually in my Qinglong High School. Principal Wong didn't care too much, opened the door with a bang, threw out a few detonation charms in his hand, and immediately avoided the rapid attack of several giant bobcats with the help of a substitute technique. I have to say that Principal Wang's use of ninjutsu is very shocking, but compared with the young man in the distance, it is a bit of a witch. Oh, the sharp Ku-Wu flashed a trace of icy light, and in the dim sky, it was suddenly illuminated by a white light, shining like daylight. The next moment, a young man stood in front of a giant lynx and stopped quietly. Immediately afterwards, the giant lynx glanced at Ning Feng coldly, as if he wanted to say something, but its blood-spraying wound already made him unable to say anything. In the miserable howl, the giant lynx died and could not die again. Ning Feng glanced at the giant bobcats who fell around, and the corners of his mouth hooked slightly. When the giant bobcats suddenly launched an attack and invaded Qinglong High School, Ning Feng's heart had a plan to solve these bobcats. No, when the students in this class were still thinking differently, he rushed out and killed these giant bobcats. The reason why he did this was not to show off his strength, but Lu Yu and the others were so protective of themselves, he didn't want Lu Yu to get hurt. Of course, he also has another purpose in doing this, that is, to see whether the data in the online game really strengthens reality and what is the proportion of reinforcement. After Fang Kai's battle, Ningfeng found that this online game was really powerful, and it actually strengthened reality 100%. 100% of the strength he gains in the Hokage world will be strengthened into the real world. This feeling, don't mention how cool. However, what made Ningfeng frown slightly was that these giant bobcats that came up were fast, intelligent, and had strong learning ability. Often his first move worked, and the second move was not very effective. If all mankind is facing such a terrible monster, then I am afraid that it will not be long before mankind will face a real crisis. Monster beasts evolve rapidly, and the crisis of rapidly becoming stronger. While Ningfeng was thinking, suddenly, among the giant bobcats that died in front of him, there was a bead shining with brilliant light, which was very dazzling. Ningfeng carefully picked up the bead, and in an instant, the bead turned into a faint light, poured into his limbs and 100 remains, and washed his limbs and 100 remains. The next moment, Ningfeng had a feeling that his body was full of power, and his chakra ceiling seemed to have improved a lot. This kind of bead. Ningfeng then discovered that killing these demon beasts could also improve his strength. But it's a pity that the explosion rate of these beads like Fang Kai is too low. This student. Suddenly, a sharp whistling sound came, and Principal Wang appeared behind Ningfeng. Chapter 27. While speaking, Principal Wang looked at the dead giant bobcats around him in horror. You know, these giant bobcats are all sea-level monster beasts, and their strength is very powerful, which is definitely not something that ordinary people can easily deal with. But right now, this teenager is just one person, so he solves it all. Is this really a student of their Blue Dragon High School? And just when Principal Wang was thinking so, he only heard a pop, and the young man in front of him turned into a piece of wood in the blink of an eye, and then Principal Wang's neck felt a chill. Principal Wang was shocked in his heart, and only then did he notice that a sharp kunai had appeared under his neck, and an inch further could easily kill him. Classmate, I'm Principal Wang of Qinglong High School, don't get hurt by mistake. Principal Wang quickly explained. Only then did Ningfeng on the side notice that it was a middle-aged man who appeared in front of him, so he secretly sighed with relief and slowly took back the bitterness in his hand. This is not intentional by Ningfeng, but when fighting, everything may happen, and it is necessary to take one step to see 3 steps, which is the cultivation of a mature ninja. As soon as the crisis came into contact, Principal Wang turned his head, only to find that what seemed to be a familiar face in front of him seemed to be a familiar face. However, compared to this, what shocked Principal Wang the most in his heart was that even now, the young man in front of him maintained the vigilance and ears of the ninja alone. And this kind of vigilance is not at all something that can be practiced out of thin air by simply logging into the Hokage world. Not to mention, just at a moment just now, the kid in front of him used the avatar technique and the avatar technique together, and with this alone, countless students could not do it. You are Ningfeng. Principal Wang was shocked, and only then did he recognize Ningfeng's face. This time the giant lynx attacked the school. If you kid hadn't made a timely move, I'm afraid that our current people would be much less. On behalf of the whole school, I, Principal Wang, thank you, Ningfeng. Ningfeng shrugged his shoulders. It's just what I should do. Quote. He actually just doesn't want to hurt the people who care about him, and the lives and deaths of others are not in his eyes at all. Brush, brush, brush. At this moment, several teachers landed quickly, all looking at the dead giant lynx on the ground, all with a look of shock and shock. Even though they had already witnessed the entire scene, it was still a little incredible, even unbelievable, that a teenager in front of them easily killed the C-class monster beast giant bobcat. At this time, Lu Yu quickly ran over with the whole class, and the one at the tail of the line was Wang Cheng, who was trembling. Seeing that Ningfeng did not have a trace of injury, Lu Yu, who was full of anxiety, secretly breathed a sigh of relief. And the other students in the class did not realize one by one until this moment that what Ningfeng said was not wrong, and he was not bragging. Otherwise, there are so many giant lynxes that a level 10 player can clean up. Compared to the so-called first Wang Qianglai in the class who still wanted to let others be the backer, Ningfeng was such a great shore in their hearts at this moment. Ningfeng has such strength, and he is so low-key. I just found out now that the first in our class is Ningfeng. Yes, the so-called first in the class. Just when the demon beast came, he even wanted to let the bottom classmates of the class lead the demon beast away. When I think that the person I admired before is actually Wang Chang, I feel sick. Many students reacted at this moment, and only then did they understand that Ning Feng's low-key was not a lack of strength, but a real strong person who would not show off. Wang Chang, who was at the end of the class queue, saw that the giant lynx around him was all dead, and saw the angry eyes of many classmates turn to him, and quickly snorted coldly, HMPH, in fact, I already knew that Ning Feng had such strong strength. Just now, I asked the penultimate student to attract demon beasts, and I was just joking with everyone. How? Can't even joke. Speaking of this, Wang Chang glanced at Ning Feng coldly. Ning Feng, don't be proud. I'm just lazy. Once I strike, kill these giant bobcats, much faster than you. It's a pity that by now, all the students have already seen Wang Chang's despicable face one by one, and no one paid attention to his words. And Lu Yu on the side suddenly pretended to be very shocked. Wow, look quickly, there are still a few giant bobcats running towards us. Hearing this, Wang Chang was instantly frightened and dragged a classmate as his own meat mat. Wang Chang's actions immediately aroused the contempt of countless students. Invisibly, Ning Feng's figure is even more majestic. Too lazy to pay attention to Wang Chang, the jumping beam clown, Ning Feng looked at Teacher Wang. Teacher Wang, we can get out of school, right? At this time, Teacher Wang and the others were still in the panic of the arrival of the demon beast, and at this moment, when they heard Ning Feng's words, they suddenly came to their senses, and quickly nodded stunnedly, yes, it's after school. And at this moment, accompanied by a burst of dense footsteps, the guard troops from the city shelter quickly ran over. The guard captain led by the guard, seeing the giant lynx corpses all over the ground, immediately exchanged shocked eyes with other guards, and they all saw the horror in each other's eyes. Seeing that the guard force was coming to protect everyone, Ning Feng shrugged his shoulders and was about to leave, preparing for the next day's boarding tour. Principal Wang suddenly grabbed Ning Feng. Ning Feng, your current comprehensive strength should have reached the lower level of patience, right? It's really scary to be able to reach such a level on just the first day of boarding. Qinglong High School, like us, every key high school, has the authority to provide resources tilted. In order to thank you for what you did today, I will apply for more resource assistance for you. Faster upgrades in online games. This ninjutsu scroll, you take it first. I'm afraid only you can cultivate. While speaking, Principal Wang handed a ninjutsu scroll to Ning Feng. Ning Feng was stunned, and only then remembered that the ninjutsu scrolls obtained in the online game could also be sold at a high price outside. He took the ninjutsu scroll and spread it out. Only then did he notice that the ninjutsu on this ninjutsu scroll turned out to be one of Kakashi's exclusive ninjutsu, Chidori. Yes, A-grade ninjutsu, Chidori. Right now, Ning Feng was worried that he didn't have a ninjutsu-like ratchet that could inflict the ultimate blow on the enemy. Chapter 28. Next, Ning Feng did not stay in the school for a long time, but returned to his home. Like all crossers, Ning Feng had no parents and was an orphan raised by the state. But despite this, Ning Feng's little life was quite good. The small home is not big, only a table, a chair and a bed, which is very simple. After Ning Feng simply made a delicious dinner, he sat cross-legged on the bed and prepared to rest. Who knows, as soon as he got into bed, he heard a thumping sound outside the door, and the Willow Moon Oriole-like voice echoed, Ning Feng, open the door quickly. Just listening to Lu Yu's voice, I knew that this girl must be very excited. Shrugging his shoulders helplessly, Ning Feng immediately opened the door, and suddenly a burst of aroma struck, and I saw a beautiful girl with blinking eyes and stars while shaking the mobile phone screen in her hand, while stomping her foot excitedly. Ning Feng, look quickly, you are famous. You're famous, famous. Exclamation mark, question mark, quote. Ning Feng was stunned, took the mobile phone in Lu Yu's hand, and only then noticed that on the screen of the mobile phone, a shocking scene of Ning Feng using various ninjutsu to kill the giant bobcat was playing. On the screen, a lot of barrages floated by for a while, all praising Ning Feng's superb ninjutsu, and there were also many comments that Ning Feng was a real ninjutsu master. Seeing these barrages, the corners of Ning Feng's mouth hooked slightly, and he couldn't help but flash a trace of excitement in his heart. In his previous life, he had never been so concerned, and this moment he was paid attention to by so many people, saying that he was not excited, it was fake. Just by looking at the barrage above, you can know how popular this video is. I paid special attention to it. Just this night alone, there were enough 3 or 4 billion hits, 50 or 60 million comments. There are even people above who say that you are very similar to that Uchiha peak god's actions. Lu Yu looked excited and stomped her foot cutely. Seeing that Ning Feng glanced at it and didn't look at it again, the corners of her mouth suddenly grinned. Look at it, appreciate your heroic posture. Really handsome. Looking at the sister like Lu Yu in front of him, Ning Feng flowed a warm current for a while. In my previous life, there was no such a beautiful girl who treated herself like this. Seeing that she was famous, she was even more excited than herself. Lu Yu, without your encouragement, I couldn't have gotten up so quickly. You also have a share of credit for this. Ning Feng was sincerely grateful to Lu Yu, and said with a serious and focused face. Who knows, Ning Feng's opening. Lu Yu suddenly seemed to realize something, quickly withdrew the hand placed in Ning Feng's hand, and the whole person also became blushing, very shy and reserved. I'm just a normal encouragement. I still have business, I have to go first. Lu Yu said reservedly and lowered her head, her eyes kept staring at her toes. After dropping the words that something was wrong, Lu Yu ran away directly, and in the blink of an eye, she disappeared into Ning Feng's gaze. This girl. Ning Feng smiled bitterly. How can I say that this Lu Yu is also a lady show of one of the 4 major families in their D city, but I didn't expect that it would be a shy day. But what has to be said is, who would refuse the pursuit of such a beautiful girl? Watching Lu Yu leave, Ning Feng closed the door and gently opened the Chidori ninjutsu scroll. Sure enough, as Ning Feng expected, as soon as this ninjutsu scroll was used, Ning Feng suddenly felt a powerful memory pouring into his body, making his understanding and cognition of Lei Dan ninjutsu reach a new level. The next moment, only a hissing sound was heard, very similar to the sound of thousands of birds chirping, and in Ning Feng's right hand, an extremely sharp thunder dagger appeared quickly. This thunder dagger is extremely sharp, and it can make people feel an extremely terrifying threat to life from a distance. It's A-grade ninjutsu, Chidori. Taking a deep breath, Ning Feng's eyes soon saw the attributes of the 1,000 birds. Chidori, one of the thunder ninjutsu, A-level offensive ninjutsu. After using this ninjutsu, it will generate a sharp thunder light in the user's hand, causing 1000% fatal damage to the enemy. P.S. This ninjutsu does not need to be sealed, it is an instant ninjutsu. Seeing the words instantaneous, Ning Feng's eyes flashed with a faint light. As a qualified Hokage fan, Ning Feng knew too well the power of instantaneous ninjutsu. The confrontation between top-level ninjas is often a competition of this instantaneous ninjutsu that does not need to be sealed. After all, once sealed, it will leave a huge gap for the enemy. The hissing sound dissipated, and Ning Feng slowly took the 1,000 birds back, and took a deep breath. He obviously felt that after learning Chidori, his understanding of Lei Dan ninjutsu was much deeper, and he would learn Lei Duan's other ninjutsu much faster in the future. After completely tossing, Ning Feng's closed eyes were overnight. When Ning Feng woke up again the next day and returned to school, the contemptuous gazes that originally fell on Ning Feng were all replaced by admiration and adoration. Many students knew very well that if they hadn't had Ning Feng yesterday, they wouldn't have lived now. However, the crisis that broke out yesterday also made these students thoroughly understand that Hokage world is likely to be the only superweapon they can fight against those monsters in the future. They have to work harder. Moreover, this is not a drill at all, but a real loss of life. Ning Feng ignored the students, but before he was about to land, he simply chatted with Lu Yu and shared some information. After that, at 8 o'clock in the morning, Ning Feng and all the students in the entire high school landed in the Fire Shadow world together. For a moment, the entire playground, during the flickering of countless white lights, disappeared without a trace. By the time Ning Feng reopened his eyes, the whole person had already appeared in the mansion of the Yuzebo clan. Uchiha on the side was looking at Ning Feng with a smile on his face. My good brother, Lord Naruto's order has come down, let you go to the dark department to report. This is the ninja forehead of our Konoha hidden village, you hurry up and put it on. Besides, our dad, there are still things to explain to you. While speaking, Uchiha pampered the ninja guard directly on Ning Feng's head, and then turned to leave. Hearing that his father still had something to explain, Ning Feng quickly got up and suddenly chuckled in his heart. Even a fool knows that there is absolutely nothing good for Daddy Uchiha Fugaku to come to him at this time. Chapter 29. Rise. Straightening the lower ninja forehead on his forehead, Ningfeng was about to leave his room, only then did he notice that the lower ninja forehead also had attributes. Shimo ninja forehead, it is a symbol that only those who have successfully graduated from a ninja school have. This ninja forehead increases the user's defense by 500 points and can withstand attacks from the head. Reduce head attacks by 30%. Although the attributes of the lower ninja are not very good, it is better than nothing. Walking out of the room, Ningfeng came directly to the council hall of Uchiha's mansion, and above the main hall of the council hall, Uchiha Fugaku was sitting there quietly, next to several Uchiha elders. This was the first time that Ningfeng had seen the elders of the Uchiha clan, and their faces were very rusty, but even so, Ningfeng still felt the strong murderous aura that only ninjas who had experienced life and death had from these elders. Especially Uchiha Fugaku himself, he is even more murderous, even surpassing Uchiha Itachi. This is Uchiha Feng, my son, who just made a lot of contributions to killing the mist hidden spy a few days ago. He was even promoted to the dark department by Lord Naruto. Without waiting for Ningfeng to speak, Uchiha Fuyu showed a reassuring smile and quickly introduced him to the elders. In fact, until now, Uchiha Fugaku's heart was still shaken. The reason that shocked him was very simple, that is, since Uchiha Peak began to practice ninjutsu, it was only a long time before and after, this kid not only opened the Ergo Jade Writing Wheel Eye, but also mastered many ninjutsu physical techniques of the Uchiha clan. Originally, he thought that Uchiha Weasel was already a super genius beyond his peers, but he didn't expect that this Uchiha Peak was even more powerful than Uchiha Itachi. At only 5 years old, he was so valued by Hokage that he was going to be promoted to the Dark Division. What a young man! Whether our Uchiha family can continue its glory depends on the batch of Uchiha Weasel and Uchiha Feng. Yes, originally I was still a little worried about the future of our Uchiha clan, but now it seems that this worry is completely superfluous. If only those children of mine could be like Feng. Countless Uchiha elders talked about it, praised and admired one after another, and fell on Uchiha Fuyu's gaze. All of them were full of strong envy at the same time, and a trace of unwillingness flashed in the corners of their eyes. You know, Uchiha Fugaku, as the main family, is in charge of all the resources of the entire Uchiha family, and has always been watched by these branches of the Uchiha family. And the appearance of Uchiha Weasel and Uchiha Peak can be regarded as completely cutting off their thoughts of these branches. After all, among his peers, there is no one who is no longer the opponent of Uchiha Weasel and Uchiha Peak. Hey, if Uchiha Obito is still there, maybe he can still compete. An old Uchiha thought with regret. Looking at the eyes of these elders in front of him, the corners of Uchiha Fugaku's mouth hooked slightly, and he said in his heart that his position as patriarch would be stable for a long, long time. In fact, this time he called Uchiha Peak to come, just to let those Uchiha elders who spied on his patriarch's position obediently shut up. After all, only in this way can he better control the entire Uchiha clan. Ha ha ha, a few elders don't have to be sorry, maybe soon you will have a genius ninja like mine. Actually, Feng, I called you here today. In addition to meeting a few of your uncles and uncles, there is another thing I want to tell you. When Uchiha Fugaku said this, his eyes gradually became cold. You are about to join the Dark Department, and there will be countless secrets in the Dark Department. I hope that you can tell us these secrets at that time. Just like your brother, Uchiha Itachi. The words fell, and without waiting for Ningfeng to speak, those elders of Ujibo all exchanged a knowing look with each other. Obviously, they are all plotting something in secret. When Ningfeng heard this, his heart said that it was true. In the original work, Uchiha Itachi has been a double agent for a while, sharing information about Konoha village with the Uchiha family. And the intelligence of the Uchiha clan was shared with Konoha. Sure enough, he is now about to join the Dark Division, and the Uchiha clan makes him a spy. Of course, these secrets are actually innocuous, just to strengthen the Uchiha family. As if worried that Ningfeng would not agree, Uchiha Fugaku hurriedly said. Yes, it's irrelevant, not to mention that we will give you a lot of benefits. The elders of Uchiha all spoke one after another. Listening to everyone's words, the corners of Ningfeng's mouth hooked slightly. In fact, long before this, He had expected that there would be this day, intelligence or something, and then it would be good as long as it was nonsense. As long as you can grow up as soon as possible, before the night of extinction, solve everything, it is completely okay. Of course, the Uchiha clan cannot be destroyed, otherwise how can he dominate the entire ninja world? He alone is not enough. When the time comes to return to the real world, as soon as the demon beast comes, others perform ninjutsu, and he directly summons the entire Uchiha clan to come. How terrifying is that? Intelligence can, but it needs something to exchange. Ning Feng smiled slightly. Naturally, he would not give real information. Seeing that Ning Feng was so obedient, Uchiha Fugaku immediately nodded with satisfaction. Not bad, whether daddy can sit in the high-level position of Konoha, it's up to you. Soon. Those Yujibo elders quickly celebrated, as if with the two sharp swords of Weasel and Ning Feng, the Yujibo family, everything was worry-free. Of course, Ning Feng, who was familiar with Hokage, also knew that the reason why the Uchiha family did this was also out of helplessness. After all, with the rapid development of Konoha village, both the Yamanaka clan and the Akamichi clan climbed the thigh of the Hokage and occupied the position of the Hokage's high-ranking position, as if they had gained countless benefits. In contrast, with the defection of Uchiha to Konoha, the Uchiha family, who was originally the great hero of Konoha, became more and more marginalized. No, with the rise to power of the wave Feng Shuiman, the seats in the high level of Konoha do not even have those of the Uchiha clan, and now the highest position of the Uchiha clan is only the captain of the guard. It can be said that under the exclusion of Konoha, the survival of the Uchiha clan is becoming more and more difficult. Now, Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Peak have finally been favored by Hokage and successfully joined the Dark Division, which is undoubtedly a good opportunity for the Uchiha family to rise again. Of course, even more so for the ambitious Uchiha Fugaku. It's a pity that what Uchiha Fugaku doesn't know is that Uchiha Peak is more ambitious than him. Chapter 30. Ning Feng. The front is the Hokage mansion, the headquarters of the Dark Department is around, whether you can find it or not, it's up to you. After finally coming out of Uchiha's mansion, the Uchiha ferret who had been waiting there for a long time glanced at Ning Feng fondly, and disappeared without a trace with Uchiha to stop the water. Watching the figure of the two departing, the corners of Ning Feng's mouth were slightly hooked. How could he not know that although this wave of Feng Shui Gate invited him to join the Dark Department, how could this dark part be so easy to enter? And the first question before him was where was the headquarters of the Dark Department? I am afraid that only by successfully finding the headquarters of the Dark Department can it be regarded as completely passing the test of the wave Feng Shui Gate. Thinking so, Ning Feng took out the secret reporting certificate that the wave Feng Shui Gate in his hand handed over to him. On top of the report certificate, only a line of illegible handwriting was left, which was obviously a clue to the Dark headquarters. As a Hokage fan, Ning Feng also knew that a small Zongnin exam was so terrifyingly difficult, not to mention finding the headquarters of the Dark Department. Secretly remembering the handwriting on the report certificate in his heart, Ning Feng went straight to a large plain behind the Hokage mansion. A mysterious organization like Konoha's Dark Division, especially if it is also engaged in intelligence gathering and assassination, must not be placed on the table, so it can only be an underground building. Guessing like this, Ning Feng quickly noticed that in this large plain in front of him, there were secret words in many places. Moreover, this code word seems to have a special connection with the handwriting on the report book given to him by Bo Feng Shuiman. Sharingan, open. Suddenly, in the dim sky, a pair of scarlet two-hook jade writing wheel eyes suddenly bloomed with brilliant light. Under Ning Feng's strong insight, he was immediately surprised to find that these places with secret codes were actually arranged with powerful enchantments, and he couldn't detect which was the headquarters of the Dark Department. It is worthy of the Dark Department. Even if other ninja villages have some intelligence, it is very difficult to destroy this organization. Ning Feng couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Although it was not mentioned in the original book of Hokage, just by imagining it, he knew how terrifying this dark part of Konoha should be. And just as Ning Feng was thinking about it, he suddenly noticed that the handwriting on the report book that Watergate gave him seemed to determine where the headquarters of the Dark Department was through a series of calculations. Moreover, the headquarters of the Dark Department should be changed every once in a while. Thinking like this, Ning Feng quickly calculated. Far away, in the middle of the Hokage mansion, The fourth generation of Fire Shadow Wave Feng Shuiman, quietly looking at Ning Feng, who was looking for traces of the Dark Department headquarters in the distance. A trace of strong expectation flashed in the corner of his eyes. Behind Watergate, Uchiha Itachi also looked expectant. Itachi, do you say that this time, Feng will be able to find the trace of the Dark Department headquarters? You know, even as a Hokage, I need to perform certain calculations on the information I have in order to be able to calculate the headquarters of the Dark Department. Quote. If the peak is good, it should be possible. Uchiha Itachi looked confident. Since he joined the Dark Ministry, he has also discovered that the horror of the Dark Ministry organization holds almost all the top-secret information in the world. And often in such places, anti-espionage work is also the most terrifying. Ha, got it, Bo. Feng Shuiman stood with his back to his back, and was about to say something, but a pair of expectant eyes suddenly flashed a trace of surprise. I saw that in his shocked gaze. Ning Feng seemed to have found a series of cracking methods from the code given by Watergate, and finally determined something. I didn't expect that in the Hokage world, something like the Morse code would be adopted so quickly. The corners of Ning Feng's mouth hooked slightly, and he said in his heart that if he didn't have this knowledge, I am afraid that he would not even be able to find the place where the shadow was located. Thinking so, he came to a stone that looked ordinary but had a strange symbol engraved on it. Soon, the stone flashed with brilliant light, completely enveloping Ning Feng, as if identifying Ning Feng. You know, the enchantment around Konoha Hidden Village also has a strong recognition ability, and only the ninjas of Konoha Hidden Village cannot be affected by the enchantment. The next moment, I only heard a rumbling sound, and a gate was revealed in the stone. Obviously, it is the entrance to the headquarters of the Dark Department. Found it. Ning Feng looked around. This entrance was indeed secret, it was simply difficult to find. In the original work of Hokage, the base of Otohide Village, where Orochimaru is located, is also quite difficult to find, and there are many organs in it, which is estimated to be made with reference to the headquarters of Konoha's Dark Department. And just when Ning Feng was a little excited, a pleasant and crisp prompt sounded out. Congratulations, you've found the entrance to the Dark Headquarters. Quote. Personal exclusive mission, Dark Ninja, has been activated. The personal main quest ninjutsu practice has been successfully completed. Quote. You have gained 1 million experience points. You got the 2000 point chakra cap. You have obtained Ku Wu *100. You got the detonation charm 20. All your ninjutsu levels are increased by 1 level. You've upgraded. You've reached level 17. Quote. You've upgraded. You've reached level 19. Several pleasant and crisp prompts came in a row, and Ning Feng only felt that at this moment, infinite power poured into it, making his limbs and hundreds of bones, not to mention how refreshing. Especially after the arrival of the 2000 point chakra ceiling reward, he felt that the chakra contained in his cells had increased by an unknown amount. Not to mention how wonderful this feeling is. And just as Ning Feng was thinking so, a ninja wearing a dark mask slowly walked over. You were recommended by Lord Watergate, and you were about to join the peak of Konoha's dark part, right? Please follow me. There are a few points I want to tell you. First, Operation Dark Division. All Dark Ninja only have code names, no names, and no one is allowed to be named in the Dark Department. Second, all Dark Ninjas are not allowed to reveal any information about the mission. Betrayers don't die. Third, in the event of the death of a companion, the task is prioritized. The ninja said, and while receiving Ning Feng's book of reports, he handed a mask of a dark ninja to Ning Feng. Ning Feng took the mask. Dark mask, a mask that only members of the Dark Department are eligible to wear, and under this mask, all attributes are increased by 10%. Under the leadership of the Dark Ninja at the head, Ning Feng soon saw a super underground intelligence organization that was busy everywhere. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.